Hi, this is Sonja Nicole. I just want to set the record straight. A lot of people are going around saying that we're all African. Now, we are all one people. We are all indigenous people. Africans are indigenous people. The people in the southern parts of Asia are also indigenous people. The people who were the original people of Europe were indigenous people. Indigenous people have been suffering genocide for as long as you can think of. There's been a war on indigenous people. If you look at Europe, you naturally think now that if someone is European, they are not an indigenous person. And if they are an indigenous person, they are a so-called slave brought there from Africa. If you go to Australia, it's the same thing. The Aborigines people, they try to say that they were slaves that were brought there from Africa. Also, if you go into China, if you go into Indonesia, you go into Taiwan or Tibet, India, you can go into any country, any island, and anywhere, you see indigenous people everywhere. And the reason why you see this is not because they were slaves from Africa, as people would love for you to believe, but because cyanobacteria is responsible for life on the planet, all life on the planet. Now, the vegetation and the trees, everything was here before humans came about on the planet. So if they require the same things that humans require for existence and to survive on this planet, how come they didn't come from Africa too? What's so different about Africa that that it's easier for you to subscribe to a belief in a theory that was created by someone to detach you from your land, so that they could take it, so that they could commit genocide on you. Now, if you are someone who is a stateless person, and a stateless person is someone who is a color and not an actual nationality. So a stateless person doesn't really have any rights. If you do have rights, they're under the color of law. The color of law is not real law. So you'll say to yourself, or you'll say, oh, well, they're going to do what they want to do. And it doesn't matter. They'll just do what they want to do. Well, that's not true. You have ignorance to the law. And that's when people will do whatever they want to do. Because first and foremost, you don't even know who you are. You don't know where you stand, your status just because of what you call yourself. You have made yourself property. Now, Walter Ashby Plecker was the first registrar of vital statistics out of Virginia. He is the one who created the black person to wipe out your identity, to make you believe that you came from the continent of Africa, when in fact what actually took place was you'll do your genealogy and you'll go back, and it'll go all the way back to a great-great-great-grandmother or grandfather, and you can't go any further than that. Most of the time it's the grandmother. You can't go any further than that because that grandmother was stolen as a child, maybe about 6 years old, 5 years old, outside playing, and they were stolen. So when they were stolen, they might have been stolen in, let's say, Connecticut, and then taken to the Bahamas. And then there were children stolen in Jamaica and then brought to America, or stolen in South America and brought to North America. You're still indigenous, like all across the board, but it's from different continents, okay? Even your European in you, your Irish, your French, or whatever, can still be indigenous. And the people that are there, I don't really know, I haven't been to Europe. But I really don't know enough to be able to tell you what's going on there right now. But I do know the things that have happened, okay? The genocide that happened. You know, nothing ever changes. It just keeps replaying. Okay, so back to what I was saying. When that first child was stolen and enslaved and sold as a slave, and raised to be a slave. They were indoctrinated with whatever religion the slave master's wife indoctrinated them with, their style of discipline. So all of those of you who have parents who may have been very hard or very abusive on you, and this is a trickle down, effect. Their parents were the same way, or all of these little weird things that we consider to be dysfunctional. You have to realize where they came from. Okay, you have to realize where they came from, and you have to understand that these parents or these family members, they did not know at the time. Sorry. I'm sorry. This is very this is heavy for me. I've been on this path for quite some time and guided down this hole of information into the truth. The truth is really, really deep. It's nothing of what you think it is. You thinking that our people came here on ships from Africa. They took people from here to Africa, and then they brought them back here. That's one thing that did take place. Okay? There were no massive ships that took all of these people. This is the story of your oppressors. They put these grand stories out to make you believe that your men were that weak that they could just overpower them like that and put them in chains and bring them here because they had guns. Let me tell you something. I don't care how many guns you have. When you come up on indigenous people, whether they be from Africa or anywhere else, and they have indigenous ways, they have their spears and they have whatever it is that they have, along with their culture, okay, their magic, all of that. You can't do that. You're not going to do that. That's how a lot of them lost their lives. The only way that they could change anything was to steal the children and enslave the children and sell the children and remove the memory from those children of who they were. And today, those offspring of those children still don't know who they are. Then you saying that your DNA test might have told you that you're 80% from some country in Africa. It's a lie, okay? If you are looking at the results, you're more than likely looking at your speculative results and not your conservative results, which are the facts. When you look at the facts, you're going to find that more than 50% of your DNA cannot be found anywhere because it wasn't that far off. It wasn't that long ago. And when you discover this, the first thing that they're going to say is, oh, it's alien DNA. And alien DNA means that they can't find it, that's all. It's not traceable. It's not traceable because your nationality was removed in the 1800s. Actually, the early 1900s was when Walter Plecker did it, but he went back into the 1800s too and changed documentation. See, you have to understand that when someone comes and oppresses a people and they are the ones that are the keeper of the records, and if you are, from the side of the oppressed, and if you believe that your oppressors told you facts in any way, then something is seriously wrong with you. You're seriously programmed. You're seriously sleeping. Okay? I don't care what your religion is. That's your business. Okay? You can be whatever you want, but you need to know who you are. You need to know what your nationality is, and you need to correct your status in your land if you want your lives to matter.